please, honestly, don't say, oh, we should be boycotting China and India. Yeah, okay, but let's talk about something less fanciful than that. Let's talk about something that we could all do that would be easy. Because if they're not, if you go to a corner shop, as I do occasionally, and buy some products or whatever, and they give you a plastic bag, if they didn't have plastic, then they could do something, and then we would have less plastic in our daily lives, wouldn't we? It's as simple as that. Will's the first time caller in Kettering. Good morning.
How you doing, Ian?
I'm good, thank you. You're a lorry driver, yes?
I am indeed, yeah. I'm on the road at the minute, hands-free, of course, all safe and legal.
Of course. What's your views then? How do we limit our use of plastic?
So, the reason I run is because you asked me a question a little while ago about how the stuff gets recycled. And a little bit of an insight that I have is the work that I primarily do is I do containers in ports.
Yeah.
And what happens with those containers when they're empty is we go to waste treatment facilities and basically pick up giant bundles of recycled plastic, and they get shipped off to India.
All right. Why? Why do they go to India?
I have no idea, but it very much rings true the saying, I think, that one man's trash, or country's trash in this case, is another country's treasure.
I saw a fashion retailer today that's making clothes out of recyclable waste, so it can be used.
Well, there must be money in it, and otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. I mean, we get paid for sending the boxes back with recycling in, and then, the countries do what they do with it, I guess.
No, I don't know what you do with plastics, because I say it's non-biodegradable. So what other ideas do you have to sort of reduce our reliance on plastic?
I don't know. I mean, kind of what we're already doing. I mean, it seems to be working a little bit. And like you were saying, to improve the beaches and that.
Yeah.
We're pouring 5% plastic bag waste and all that is disappearing, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lady that I used to work with that owns a business that does like handmade soaps and all that kind of way through all the shops and plastic bottles, and actually does it all with like paper cases and cardboard cases and like bamboo and stuff like that. Very, very, I don't know what the word would be, like economical, I guess. That's the environment. I don't know, I didn't really think that far ahead, to be honest. I went for the wake for 2 hours.
God, no. So where are you off to now?
I'm currently, I'm on my way, believe it or not, to Greggs in Amesbury.
To where?
Greggs, Bakers.
Yes, Greggs.
I'm delivering to one of their distribution centres in Amesbury.
Oh, okay, brilliant. All right. Would you say that the use of plastic that you carry in your wagon has reduced over the years, or not?
I would say on the container side of the business, absolutely. I mean, don't get a huge look in what's in the boxes when we pick them up from the docks, but a lot of the stuff is all in cardboard boxes. I mean, occasionally I might deliver big metal machines, but that's pretty much it. It's mainly cardboard. It's all the import stuff.
Okay. Well, have a safe journey. Thank you for ringing, and please make sure you do it again, mate. Nice to speak to you.
Pleasure to talk to you.
All right. Oh, by the way, have you got a teddy bear stuck to the front of your wagon?
I haven't got one stuck to the front of the wagon, but I have got animal out the muppets on my passenger door.
What is this obsession you guys have with toys?
And because it was walking.
Oh, what a shame. You've just broken up, Will. Sorry, mate. If you want to ring back, please do. Have you got something on import to tell us? Yes, this idea of strapping teddy bears to the front of your door. What is that about? I've never used to understand that. So whenever we were at school and we'd be on the coach driver would just have loads of pennants, those sort of triangular things that they hand over at the beginning of football matches to each other. They just have loads of those hanging all the way around the bus saying, I've been to Llanast in Wales or whatever. It's like, right, you drive a coach, of course you've been to places. It's like that Robert De Niro, mate. Yeah, I've been to places. What are you talking about? I think my son was involved in that. His advertising agency. I want to know about the use of plastic and how you would start to reduce the amount of waste around the world, because it all starts with a tiny step, doesn't it? Every long journey starts with a tiny. We're beginning to do it. 4/5 of the plastic bag waste on our beaches has been removed in the last decade, according to the Marine Conservation Society. What other ideas would you have? Have you reduced your use of plastic? Or do you, like me, think it's really not the responsibility of the consumer, it's the responsibility of the retailer, the people that make these things? How much plastic is in use now than used to be used? Have you got any ideas for reducing our waste? We somehow have to, and then we blame other countries, but we can only do what we can only do. And if that means, for example, I look at, everyone's going on about, styrofoam was banned a few years ago. Was it? Well, what do you call the material that makes Caffè Nero and Costa drinks that you get for takeaway? What is that? That's not styrofoam. What is that? I don't know, because that's not banned, is it? Because I had one the other day. And what would you do? What would you say to a company like Evian, who produce their water in their bottles? What's the alternative? That's the problem, isn't it? And if you were the CEO of Evian, you'd say, well, okay, you come up with the answer. And what are we supposed to do? How should we still sell Evian? I've no idea how you get around that one. There are some plastics that you just have to use, and of course, plastics are derived from fossils, aren't they? And the bad stuff that we're never allowed to, we're not allowed to talk about anymore. Tell me what you say. 0345 6060 973 is the number to ring. And also, just if you've got an idea why lorry drivers always seem to have toys either on the front of their lorries or somewhere hanging up. What is all that up? What's all that about? How about using compressed paper, says Kyle? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know whether or not that's actually a suitable alternative. For some reason, the best material, I'm not picking Evian out, it's just that I have a bottle in front of me. I'm thinking, how else could they manufacture their bottles without using plastic? What would they do? Would there be like cartons, like they do now? I mean, you look at, if you buy milk from a major supermarket, they're always in plastic containers, aren't they? So what would you serve milk in the supermarket for? What are information industry? I'd love to know, because it seems to me we're sort of sleepwalking our way into not doing a great deal about it. Yes, the beach combers and the fact that we're not using so many plastic bags in supermarkets now has had a big effect, hasn't it? But that was a proactive, that's the word. That was a proactive move by the supermarkets, and it's working brilliantly. Why can't more manufacturers do that? And also biodegradable stuff. I mean, oh dear. So it was about 4 or 5 months ago that there was this giant fatberg that was found in one of the sewers here in London, and it was the size of, what was it the size of? It was the size of about 4 goalposts put together. It was quite disgusting, and they have to kind of evaporate it or melt it or do something, and it takes ages and it takes a huge amount of energy to do these things. This is because people, I can't believe this. If you've ever done it and you're prepared to admit it, you don't have to say who you are, you can be anonymous. Have you ever put a nappy down the loo? Why would you do that? Seriously, or wet wipes. We know they're unbiodegradable. Ace is in Brent. Morning.
Well, good morning, Ian. Finally, good to speak to you. So I've got 2 main points. The first one is about plastic bags. The solution is very simple. The government needs to put an outright ban on plastic on the soup. They've done it in various countries in Africa, they've done it in America, and they just ban plastics, full stop.
So you can't buy a bottle of Evian water in some parts of Africa?
That's not my problem. Well, you asked me what the solution was, Ian, and I'm saying the solution...
No, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying, is there a black market for plastics?
There is. I mean, even furniture is now being produced by recycled plastic. So you've got companies that are going around collecting all the aluminium cans out the rivers and turning those into luxury furniture. But the point I'm making is the consumer has to stop being made to feel guilty because they're not recycling enough. I used to work for Veolia, which is the biggest waste management company in Europe, and you'd be surprised After the council asks you to separate your rubbish into food waste, cardboard, plastics, what they do with it, it all gets sold, just like the other lorry driver said, it all gets packaged and sold. So even people that are recycling in their local boroughs, they think they're doing the bit for the environment. No, you're just doing a job for the council, because you're actually being employed by the council for free to separate waste, and which they send people around in dustbin trucks to collect, and they sell to Europe to make money. There's millions of pounds in recycling, and the consumer should not have to pick up the shortfall for where government legislation has failed. And that's what I have to say.
What would you? But one thing, just with one question before you go, what would you say to a company like Evian or like someone that like the milk production in this country that relies on plastic bottles? What would you say to them? Tough, you can't use plastic.
Very simple. Science has shown that when we drink Evian water, and I drink a lot of bottled water because I don't drink tap water, the amount of microplastics that we are now consuming is not good for our health. And what I would say is they just have to switch. Use glass bottles, which are much more easy to recycle. They might be a bit more costly, but they're easier to recycle. Switch. They're going to have to switch. You know.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Ace. Now there's Ace, who knows what he's talking about because he worked for one of these companies, one of these big recycling companies. I would like to know from you, now that we're beginning to make a dent in the use of plastic bags, and the evidence comes from the Marine Conservation, who's said that 4 out of 5 plastic bags that used to be on our beaches have now disappeared because of beach combers and people tidying up our beaches, but mainly because the supermarkets have stopped selling them as items. And it's a great idea. How else can we use less plastic? And let's stick with plastic because it's the most unbiodegradable substance, certainly that I know. There must be others too. But why are people putting wet wipes down the toilet? You know it's bad. Putting nappies everywhere. You know that's bad. We've got to be able to put things in the proper rubbish bin so that they can get recycled, don't we? 0345 6060 973. Barbara, I'll come to you after the news. It's 5:30, and here is Thomas Watts.
Rachel Reeves is expected to announce billions of pounds of spending cuts, including road and rail projects. The Chancellor will accuse the Conservatives of covering up the true state of the public finances. Kemi Badenoch has thrown her hat in the ring for the Conservative Party leadership. She joins Dame Priti Patel, Mel Stride, Tom Tugendhat, James Cleverly and Robert Jenrick in the contest. A 57-year-old woman who was attacked while out walking her dog has died in hospital. Anita Rose was found unconscious in Grantham in Suffolk early last Wednesday morning. LBC weather, very warm with plenty of sunshine, cloudier in some northern and northwestern parts of the UK, a high of 29 degrees.
This is LBC.
Say hello to Chase, awarded Best British Bank by our customers.
Tell me more.
Well, it's quick and easy to open a Chase account.
Anything else?
We charge no fees when you use your Chase debit card abroad.
Great. I'm saving to go to Antigua. Can I open a Sabre account?
Yes, you can add up to 10 separate Sabre accounts.
Hang on, so I could also open one for that festival I want to go to.
Absolutely.
And a spa weekend after.
It would be rude not to.
Where do I sign up?
You can download the Chase app today. Chase, awarded the Best British Bank by our customers.
When Maddie from Liverpool sold her car with Motorway, she got more money. She then used that extra money to help pay for her wedding.
This isn't part of your speech, is it?
Motorway took the hassle out of the entire process, allowing her to focus on what matters most.
Oh, hon. Don't cry.
It's just not the happy ending. Sell your car the more money way. Where 84% of sellers sold for more. Motorway. Validated against 2 independent sources. Visit motorway.co.uk/claims. This is LBC with Ian Payne.
We're talking about some good news finally about recycling and about use of plastics with the Marine Conservation Society saying that in the last 10 years the number of plastic bags on Britain's beaches and coastline have reduced by 4/5, 80%. This is obviously something to do with the fact that supermarkets will only sell them to you if you absolutely need one now, and they're encouraging us to bring our own bags. The World Wildlife Fund, the WWF, have suggested several other things that we could all do to make our use of plastic less. If you go to a coffee shop that sells you non-biodegradable substances in which your coffee is kept, Don't do that. Bring your own bottle. Bring your own thermos or your own, what do they call the big metal bottle flasks? Thank you. Yeah, bring your own flask to the coffee shop so you can fill up. And coffee shops will do that for you. Just say no to plastic cutlery and straws. Tea bags. What are we supposed to do with tea bags? Not sure. Bring back the milkman. Well, there are milkmen and women around, but they tend to not use bottles. Some of them use bottles, but obviously if you're a milk production company, I would imagine, I'm no expert, but I would imagine it costs more to put out your produce in glass bottles than it does in cartons or containers, isn't it? So there's still a lot. Chewing gum. If you go out into Leicester Square, I did this the other day, and there are how many hundred thousands of little paving stones are there? On every single paving stone there are the remnants of at least 4 or 5 bits of chewing gum. They are amazing, aren't they? I mean, you're never going to ban chewing gum, but maybe we should. That's about as non-biodegradable as you can get. It's just there for the whole time. Occasionally someone with a high-pressured water hose will come and try and get rid of the stuff, but in Singapore you can get a jail term for putting litter on the floor. At least you did when I was there several years ago. In England, 87% of streets are stained with gum. What do you do about gum? There you are, there's another idea, but a very simple thought. Chewing gum. Not so much bubble gum, chewing gum. What do? Do you throw it into a waste paper bin? No, you don't really. You throw it on the bottom. You just throw it on the floor, don't you? Or you catch it on the bottom of your shoe. So, what do you do with tea bags? They're fairly non-biodegradable. Should Yorkshire and Tetley's be told how to make their tea bags a little bit more eco-friendly? Or what? Barbara, a first-time caller in Hendon. Hello, good morning, welcome.
Costa and everybody, Nero, etc., do not use styrofoam.
What is that? What is the material then they use for their drinks? What's it called?
So they switch to board coffee cups, but the problem with them is they've got a plastic liner. So it's very difficult with a bit of plastic stuck onto board. Board is easily recyclable, but you stick a bit of plastic on the inside, be it plant plastic or oil plastic, both are terrible. PE and PLA, we call it in the industry.
But they have to have that coating because
it'll leak. If you don't have a coating, the cup will leak. It's like it'll be like a big paper.
Are there any other more biodegradable substances available?
Yes. So in the last few years, and we've started selling cups with what we call aqueous lining. They have no plastic at all in the lining, and that means the cups can be composted, which doesn't happen so much in the UK, or recycled with your standard waste. If you're putting out newspapers or paper bags or napkins or whatever to be recycled, you can recycle the cups with that, and that's a huge breakthrough.
Is it more expensive to make?
It might be slightly more, but the gap between sustainable or eco-friendly packaging and non-eco-friendly packaging has closed very, very much in the last few years. So you don't really pay a lot. And they're trying to get these cup recycling schemes where you collect in the cups and send them to get the plastic taken off, and then you're left with about 94% of the cup which can be pulped. But that's a hugely non-environmentally friendly process. You've got to transport the cups, you've got to use high temperatures to take the plastic off, etc. So there are lots of things happening. That's my point. There's lots of things happening by people, companies like us, who are very focused on getting sustainable packaging to our customers and making the environment better. We even sell cups that have no trees in them. They're made from bamboo, which is a weed, which is a brilliant material. A couple of things that you were talking about, let's bring your glass or your non-disposable coffee cup and everything, and that's a great idea, except, right, where are you going to keep us and put us? And what happens if you have a cup of coffee at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you want another one with your lunch? How you got to wash it out and whatever, and that's why it's going to be very difficult to get away from disposable coffee cups, because if people want to go...
Are people really that lazy, Barbara? They won't even wash out their thermos?
I don't think it's lazy. I just think it's the physicality. It's easy to fold up a bag and bring it in your pocket to the supermarket.
Yeah.
It's just not so easy.
So what would you say then? You sound like you're in the vanguard of this. What would you say to Evian? And I'm only picking them because it's the bottle I have in front of me. I've been told off by people saying, why haven't I got tap water? No. What would you say to the CEO of Evian and say, what are you doing to reduce plastic use?
Okay, so I don't know them, but I know what they're doing. They are using the material that those bottles are made from, that nice squeezy soft material. It's called PET. Don't ask me what that stands for. I don't know. But PET, that you'll see it's used in the Coke bottles, the water bottles, everybody, even the British water companies are using that material. And most of those bottles will have at least 50% recycled material in them. So already that bottle on your desk has got at least, I'd say, 50% and maybe more. The idea is PET, if you look underneath the bottle, you'll see a little triangle with the number 1 in it. That signifies, A, that that's PET, and number 2, it is the lower the number, the more recyclable your material is going to be. So PET is being recycled locally here in the UK. It is being reused in all these bottles that they're making. And I read somewhere a few years ago that the Coca-Cola Corporation, who at that time were using 120 billion plastic bottles a year, have vowed that by the end of 2025, which is coming very soon, they were going to have all their bottles would be recycled. So those bottles in particular are fantastic because they can be easily recycled and they are already using recycled materials.
Tell us about...
And that's the key.
I love it when I get an expert on. I absolutely love it. No, brilliant call,
No,
Barbara.
thank you for calling me an expert.
No, you
I'm
are.
enthusiastic.
No, you know what you're talking about. I've never heard of PET. So my Evian bottle says 100% recycled bottle, cap on recycle. Tell us about the change in the industry towards these non-detachable caps.
Well, I think I've heard you say before they're
Yes.
a pain in the butt.
Well, they are,
Yeah.
but if they're saving the planet, then so be it if I get one on my nose.
Yeah, but I do tend to twist it off and then I can not have it on my nose. Yeah.
But if you twist it off...
That's a good idea. I don't know how good it is. I honestly don't know how good it is because it can't be recycled. It's made from a different material.
Is it?
So I don't know how they deal with it. But I think you can have some contamination in the recycling process.
I'm told they do. They change these permanent sort of stick-on tops because the people who sort of had the old bottle, they would unscrew the whole of the top so they could get more water in, and they would throw the little bit of the top
Correct.
away, and that was non-recyclable because it was so small and made of a different material.
Yeah.
Whereas now it all goes into one big pulper. Right. Okay. So it is
probably
happening.
is okay. Yeah.
Brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant
so
call,
hopefully-
Barbara. Thank you so much.
And one final,
Yeah,
final
go for it,
thing
go
very
for it. Yeah,
quickly.
sure.
Chewing gum.
Oh,
Chewing
yes,
gum,
yes.
I remember we were about to land in Singapore, and other people I'm sure have had the same experience, and you get a little note on the airplane, and it basically says something along the lines of if you chew gum in Singapore, you'll be arrested.
That's it.
So maybe we need something like that here.
It would be amazing, but we are. Thank you so much. We are. We are inundated with. There's not a single part of pavement in London, I don't think, that hasn't got those white dots. They shouldn't be there. Now, whether or not you think that's a pollutant and there should be done something about it, but if you've got an idea about making our lives better, in terms of recyclable products and not using plastics and single-use plastic bags and wet wipes and gum and any household products that you just think, well, hold on a minute, nature will not biodegrade that. What are we going to do about not using that in future? And as I say, it's something that should be